Welcome back to the What's Next series. This is part four. Cleveland Cavaliers. I'm with my guy, D Knight, who is kind of unique to the guests I've had on. Everybody else has been a basketball creator, but D Knight is just the biggest Cavs fan I know. And he's also a creative when it comes to music. He's a rapper from the Dane area, very good at what he does. D Knight, I appreciate you joining the channel.
Good with it. Thank you for having me, bro.
For sure. But first, I just want to talk about, your background. You in the music scene. Can you just explain to everybody, your music, when you started, and just where everybody can find your music?
Yeah, so my artist name is D Knight. That's D.Knight. I got serious about music around the time I was 13, 14 years old. So pretty much like my freshman year at Springfield High is when I got serious about it. And I've just been on the roll ever since. I got a whole bunch of music out. You can find me on any streaming platform. Just look up my artist name, D Knight, and you can find me on social media at D Knight is real. All my social media is the same. So if you see D Knight is real, that's me. I don't have a blue check mark yet, but that's definitely me. So yeah.
Very soon, man's got nominated for an award recently. I mean, you got an album coming out very soon, correct?
Yeah, I am finishing up an album that I'm planning on releasing sometime in September. So we definitely on the road with that as well.
Yeah, if it's anything like Life is Precious, I'm definitely gonna be intrigued about it, man, for sure.
Hey, I got a feeling you might like it then, because we kind of headed in that direction. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Yes, sir. Well, I'm gonna definitely leave his socials in the description, so y'all please go check him out. Makes some amazing music. And let's get into the Cleveland Cavaliers, because you are probably one of the two most dedicated Cavs fans that I know. Like, you're somebody that's really a diehard Cleveland Cavalier fan. Even after LeBron left and all that, you're still rocking with Cleveland. I just want to ask, be honest, were you surprised at all about the success that the Cavs had this season?
I was absolutely surprised. I didn't expect Garland to have the type of leap that he had. And I knew Mobley was going to be really good. I wasn't sure how good he was going to be, but I didn't expect him to have that immediate of an impact. So I was definitely blown away, with the first couple weeks into the NBA season, and we're winning these games. I'm trying not to get too excited, because I know, we had a pretty strong start last season, and we know how that ended. So I was thinking this year, we might fall off here soon, but we just kept going and going up. And even through all the injuries that we had, we were still finding ways to at least stay competitive and even pull out some wins from time to time. And the fact that we made it to the play-in was, it's something to be celebrated, in my opinion. I know a lot of Cavs fans are upset by how our season ended, which I was upset by that as well. But in the overall grand scheme of things, we have to look at where we was at last year and where we got to this season. So yeah, I'm definitely excited for the future.
Definitely. I remember I texted you. I think it was after y'all played the Lakers. It was like a Friday night game. I remember I texted you. Y'all lost that game, but I'm like, nah, this Cavs team is for real. And I remember this year before, it was kind of a good start for y'all, but then everything just fizzled out and you guys ended up being one of the worst teams. But this year just felt a little different, just from watching you guys. Garland looked a lot better, even though his numbers didn't jump up drastically. He just looked more confident. And I was very surprised that the three big lineup worked. When you first saw that you guys were going to be starting 3 7-footers, were you a fan of that, or did you think no, there's no way that this is going to work?
Man, so when we first traded for Markkanen, I was shocked that we even got him in a trade, because I did like him a lot in Chicago. But I remember when we got that trade, I was talking to you about it on Twitter, and you had mentioned we had 3 7-footers, and I was like, he got a point. I'm not quite sure how that's going to work. But yeah, to my surprise, that lineup worked very well. And so, yeah, I was definitely shocked by that, for sure.
Yeah, I remember, I think they had played a certain amount of minutes together. I know injuries, like you mentioned, kept creeping in, but they were I think the best plus minus team, or box. It was box score or something. They were the best team in basketball. When you look at certain advanced statistics, which was such a surprise. Definitely give a lot of credit to Coach JB Bickerstaff, because he's been I think one of the most underrated coaches in the league. Can you just talk about his impact that he's had on the team, just changing the culture in Cleveland?
Yeah, man. So when we first hired JB, I was pretty skeptical. I'm not going to lie, because, well, first and foremost, I didn't like how he fired Tyronn Lue. I felt like he wasn't really given a fair shot dealing with the roster without LeBron. So I feel like that move was pretty much premeditated. I think after Bron left, we kind of knew that we was going to get rid of Coach Lue. And, then we went through Coach Daleen, who we got from Michigan. And I had pretty high hopes about him because, Michigan's college program is like, they're just elite, And so when I got that we hired Bickerstaff, I was like, I don't know too much about this, but I'm gonna give him a shot. So coming into this season, I didn't really have high expectations for him, but just seeing the type of impact that he was able to have, and his ability to have all of our young guys buy into the locker room atmosphere, it really speaks a lot of volume. So he definitely did a great job, handling our roster this year, and just finding a way to make the three bigs work, and give Garland the space he needs to shine and run our offense, and just have the other guys work around that. So yeah, kudos to him for sure.
Definitely. We're gonna get to Darius Garland because he's such a young star player. Like, that's one of my favorite guys to watch. We're gonna talk about him.
Yeah.
But I think we can both agree, and I think a lot of people with any sense can agree, like, if y'all were able to stay healthy for most of the season, y'all were probably not going to even be in the play-in. You would have been a playoff team, because that's just how good this team was. So, I mean, you mentioned, like, it was still a successful season, but what do you think, like, the ceiling of this team, I'm kind of jumping a little bit, but going into next season, if they could stay healthy, like, how good do you think this team could be together?
Man, if we stay healthy, I can really see us getting to the second round at most. I know some Cavs fans see us as contending next season. I would probably put the brakes on that, because I feel like in order to be a contender, you have to have at least you have to have a top 10 player on your roster. And so if Garland, or even Mobley for that matter, has like some type of crazy jump where they become a top 10 player, then we could probably have that conversation. But as of right now, I could see us probably a second round exit, which if you're a Cavs fan, I don't think you can be too mad at that.
Definitely. I mean, yeah, it's definitely to be seen if DG can jump into that top 10 conversation someday. But you guys did have two All-Stars, one of the few teams that did have two All-Stars. I'm just talk a little bit about Jarrett Allen and Darius Garland. Just go ahead and rave about how good those guys were this year.
Oh man, they're like the best, or one of the best alley-oop duos in the NBA, man. Like, just seeing Garland just throw that rock up to him, and just like and Allen just come down with it. Like, Garland make it look like it's a floater, then Allen come out of nowhere and just slam it, man. Like the chemistry they have is just unbelievable, man. And the fact that we was able to get Allen from that James Harden deal is definitely one of the biggest steals in the NBA over the past couple of seasons, if you ask me. And just what Allen brings to I want to talk more about Allen, and what he brings to our defensive side, because just the way he's able to really lock down the paint and force you to go outside and score instead of rack up points in the paint, against us. Like, he definitely had a big impact on us defensively, and we was one of the worst defensive teams in the NBA not too long ago. So when Allen went down with that injury, the lack of his presence was definitely felt, not just on the offensive side, but more so on the defensive side as well. Him and Mobley make a great punch down there. But going back to Garland and the type of chemistry they have, man, it's just scary to watch if you're the opposing team, because you have Garland, who's already one of the hardest players to guard in the NBA, in my opinion. And then you have a monster like Allen down low that you have to watch out for. Not only that, but you got Mobley on the other side of the paint. It's like, like supposed to do with that. So yeah, it was definitely fun to watch and just see how their chemistry developed over the course of this past season.
For sure. Like, y'all were definitely one of my most watched teams, like, outside of the Boston Celtics. Like, I watched a lot of Cleveland Cavaliers games this season. And you mentioned how Jarrett Allen, he went down with the injury. That kind of changed the course of the year for y'all. But you also brought up the 1-2 punch on the defense side of the floor that him and Evan Mobley, tend to, give opposing teams problems, because, Allen is such a great backside defender, but Mobley's defensive versatility was something that I did not see coming. Like, I remember there were some games, like, I'll keep going back to the game when y'all played the Lakers early in the season. he would switch on a LeBron and hold his own. And not a lot of people
Yeah.
can do that, especially a rookie 7-footer. And he was doing that routinely throughout the season against guards. Like, he was holding his own. Can you just talk about how impressive his rookie season was, and just, how excited you are for the future of his career?
Yeah, man. Mobley's rookie season was I was just blown away by it, just by his ability to defend so well. And you could even see the progression on offense he had over the course of the season. Because I know in the beginning he was kind of like, I don't want to say clumsy, but he just had kind of a bit of trouble, like, always gathering himself and whatnot. But over time, like when I went to the Atlanta Hawks game on New Year's Eve, just seeing like Mobley's move in the post, how he's hitting turnaround jumpers, and even he's hitting some threes here and there. He's definitely kind of like people compare him to like KG or Anthony Davis or somebody like that, and I could definitely see a little bit of that in him for sure. So yeah, I was pretty upset when he didn't win Rookie of the Year. I'm not gonna lie, I really wanted to see him win it since we ain't had a guy win it in such a long time. But yeah, man, Mobley is definitely somebody that I'm like super excited for, and I think Mobley has a very, very high ceiling. Like we talk about Garland potentially being a top 10 player. I actually think Mobley has a better chance due to the upside he has on defense, the fact that he can guard all 5 positions, the fact that he's a big man who can hit threes, who knows how to post up, who can even do some chase down blocks from time to time. I can see him being, having that type of impact for our roster for years to come.
Yeah, what I hear a lot of like NBA guys say about him is like when he would get smaller defenders on him, like he would, call for the ball in the post. Like he would really post up, try and make something out of that. And it was kind of good to see how advanced his offensive game was as a rookie, because he was known for his defensive side of the floor, like what he could do on defense. But his offense, like the fact that, he can come out of a pick and roll and make a pass, like make a play, like be a really good playmaker out of pick and rolls, and, hit the face up jump shot, maybe hit some threes sometimes. And like you said, like his upside, if his offense can ever reach, like even scratch the surface of an Anthony Davis or a KG or even like a Chris Bosh, who some people compare him to, it's scary. And the fact that you have him, Jared Allen's locked up for the next 4 years, Darius Garland's locked up, for I think the next 5 years, like the young talent in Cleveland is definitely there, which is something we haven't been able to say for a long time. So it's definitely good to see.
Yeah, I don't think it's something that we've really been able to say ever, honestly, because we've been so conditioned. We were just so spoiled with LeBron, early on. So and even when he came back to town, like we wasn't worried about young talent. We surrounded him with best guys in the league, guys who know how to win. So this is really like the first time a lot of Cavs fans have seen a team with this type of young talent. Like it's definitely new for all of us, and that's why we're so excited about it. Like I even seen somebody say that this is like the best Cavs team we've had, and not even and of course I disagree with that, because I mean our 2016 roster was crazy, but it was just talking like in terms of like chemistry and just like the type of upside that the guys have for our roster and whatnot. So yeah, definitely an exciting time to be a Cavs fan for sure. So hopefully we're able to really push it even into next season.
Yeah, you just brought up 2016, so I gotta ask, what was it like being in Cleveland during Game 7 of the NBA Finals, which the Cavs ended up winning, of course? Like, what was that experience like?
Man, that experience was like a movie, honestly. I'll never forget it. It was so hot that day, and we're all just packed downtown, like watching this big screen. And honestly, like the whole game really had us on the edge of our seats. But I feel like a lot of us in Cleveland at the time just knew. I feel like we all pretty much knew what time it was. Like I was definitely I was more anxious than I was nervous, because I just had a feeling that we was going to find a way to pull it out. And just witnessing the Kyrie Irving shot to the block that LeBron had and the stop that Kevin Love had, that was super clutch. And even some of the threes that J.R. Smith hit over the course of the game, like it was really just a magical experience. And once the buzzer went off, like the whole city just started jumping up and down. Like I've never been a part of nothing like that before, and I probably won't ever be a part of nothing like that again, to be honest, because it's just like just seeing a city win a championship for the first time, it's like something out of a Disney movie, like it's just not supposed to happen for real, but it happened, and I'll be forever grateful to be a part of it.
Nah, for sure. And it's crazy how you just like recall so many moments from that game. Like even the J.R. Smith, like he had 2 jumpers to start the second half. Like it's something about that game, like to me, where I just remember like every part. And I've only watched that game, only watched it one time live. That's the only time I ever watched that game. But like you just mentioned so many different things. Like I remember all of those events, like Kevin Love's stop, of course Kyrie's shot, LeBron's block, Steph Curry throwing the behind the back pass out of bounds, like all those moments, like that's just how iconic that game is. Like you said, it was like a Disney movie, like just the way the Cavs were able to come back, win the first championship in Cleveland was like what 60 years or something like that. Like
52 years or something. It's been such a long time.
Definitely, and it's good to see y'all like of course that moment happened and LeBron leaves and everything, but being able to rebound is something that we haven't seen Cleveland do. But now with this new front office, new coaching and just new players coming in, the future's looking up. And let's go ahead and transition to like the off season, because you mentioned you guys lost in the play into the Atlanta Hawks, which it was just tough because injuries were piled up against you guys, but you guys gave them a good fight. 44 wins on the season, which is very impressive because I think the win total was like 25 coming into the year.
Yeah.
And you guys ended up getting a lottery pick, even after being one of the feel-good stories of the season. Can you just talk about you guys' draft in general? You drafted Abaji out of Kansas and then got Evan Mobley's brother Isaiah onto the team. Have you been able to watch Summer League at all to kind of gauge these prospects and see how they can come in and help the team?
Yeah, so I was actually watching Summer League a couple of nights ago against I want to say we played the Spurs. No, Denver. We played Denver. Yeah. So one guy who's really caught my attention was RJ Nembhard. I've only watched him one time, but I see the game before Denver. He scored like 26 points, and when I watched him, it seems like he's pretty good on offense. So I feel like he can definitely bring something to the table for our roster. Maybe an off the bench score, because we could definitely use some more guys who can come off the bench and score. Even though we had a pretty good bench last year, but definitely the more the merrier for sure. Our first round draft pick, bro out of Kansas. So I did see his name on a lot of mock drafts, so that's pretty much who I expected us to get. And I watched him a little bit in the tournament. I mean, of course, he beat our Tar Heels. So.
Don't even bring it up. Don't even bring it up.
I was already pretty much familiar with him, from that. So hopefully, he's able to, have a pretty solid impact. I'm not holding him to the same standard that I hold Mobley to last season, because what Mobley did was just kind of, just out of the ordinary. So I'm just looking forward to these guys bringing something good to the table.
Yeah, one thing about like the Cavs, like recently, they've done a really good job drafting. Like even like you might look at like a Isaac Okoro, like he may not be outstanding, but he's shown very, very good flashes, and he's still a very raw player. Like I think he can turn into something like very consistent one day. Right. And of course Mobley, and I think Abaji, I think he's going to be somebody who's just going to be very solid 3-and-D type player at worst, which is just something that the Cavs need, is just guys that can come in right now and help win games, and I think he can do that for sure. And I just thought it was interesting to see like the brothers are back. Like they played on the same teams at each level. So I'm just interested to see like if that can turn into anything. Has he played in Summer League, Isaiah Mobley?
Yes, so Mobley started the first game, I believe, and he did really good. He did a really good job like passing the ball from what I heard. And I tuned into the Denver game kind of late, so I didn't get to really watch them. But so far I've heard pretty good things about Mobley. I'm not sure if he's going to make our roster or not, but the fact that we drafted him and we're giving him a chance, I think that's definitely dope to have him and his brother together. So it looks like we're following the same blueprint that Milwaukee's doing, how they have all of the Antetokounmpo brothers together. We got the Mobley brothers together. So hopefully, it results in a championship somehow in some weird way, hopefully.
Definitely. Well, the rest of the offseason, like you guys were pretty, I don't want to say quiet in free agency. You guys didn't make any big time additions, but you did bring Ricky Rubio back, which I think was just kind of dope. You guys traded him away after he got hurt, but able to bring him back, I think that was dope. You gave Darius Garland a big extension, which I think can turn into like $200+ million, which he definitely deserves. But one guy that is still out there is Colin Sexton. Have you heard anything? Do you expect him to be back on the roster?
Man, Reek, you know, I feel like it's up in the air right now. I think NBA free agency is in a real weird spot with the Kevin Durant news. I feel like everybody's just waiting around to see what's going to happen with him. And if something happens with him, or you know, if something happens with Donovan Mitchell, then I feel like we'll start to see other things happen with other players more. As of right now, it's looking like we may lean towards keeping Colin Sexton for another year. I feel like Kobe Altman and Rich Paul are probably going to have to meet somewhere in the middle, even if he just signs like a 1-year deal, kind of like a prove it type of deal or something, just to give him another chance with us, because, you know, he did tear his ACL last season, and I'm not sure how many teams are really willing to give him a chance or like really pay him what he may be looking for. So I feel like as a Cavs fan, I'm very optimistic about running it back with Sexton, but if something happens to where we were to end up trading him, then I definitely understand.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's somebody that you guys could definitely use, but no reason to throw him a lot of money because, like you said, he's coming off a pretty major injury. Mm-hmm. His scoring was missed, I think, at some points in the season. I think a lot of us expected Caris LeVert to come in and fill that role. He just wasn't as good, maybe as Colin Sexton is, but I don't know. We'll see. I would like to see him back in Cleveland. Like you mentioned, I think a 1-year prove-it type deal is probably the best way for him to go and also for you guys to go. So, you know, you can just see, like, is he worth keeping around for the long term? I think that's something definitely to keep an eye on. But it's been kind of slow for, like, restricted free agents. Like, DeAndre Ayton, there's still not really a lot of updates on that. Like, I think the Pacers are trying to get involved. Mm-hmm. But I think, like you said, like, a lot of it's predicated towards what's happening with KD. And then the Jazz just announced, like, we will listen to Donovan Mitchell trade. So I think there's still a lot of dominoes left to fall, you know, for this free agency.
Yeah. So it's kind of a wait and see type of thing. So yeah, it's just kind of hard to say right now.
Yeah, for sure. So the last question I really have is just like, you know, the outlook for the future of the team. We obviously mentioned you guys have a bright future, but for this next season, because that's what we're focused on, what would you deem a successful season for the Cleveland Cavaliers in 2022 and 2023?
Let's see. So we won 44 games. A successful season is if we increase our win total. I say, I don't want to say a 50-win season yet. I'd say if we increase it by about 4 games, about 48 wins season, that'll be successful. Definitely make the playoffs instead of going to the play-in again. That would also count as a successful season. And just growth from Darius, Garland, and Mobley, and us being able to stay healthy and continue building our team chemistry. I feel like if those things happen and we make a playoff appearance, then I don't feel like anybody can really complain about that, you know?
Definitely. I mean, that sounds all pretty much achievable. And I think the one thing that the Cavs showed this past season is, like, not to place any expectations on them. I think, you know, they can easily exceed those. Like you said, 48 wins, they might be a 50-win team next year. Like, you never really know the score, for sure. Well, that's all the, you know, questions and stuff and I have for you. I appreciate your insight, bro. Once again, thank you for joining the channel. Do you have anything else that you'd like to add?
Yeah, man. First and foremost, go Cavs, and, you know, check out my music. I'm available on all streaming platforms. D-Night. I got music on Bandcamp, dnightisreal.bandcamp.com. And also you can check out my website, dnightisreal.com, for all my content, all my music, all my videos, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes, sir. Like I mentioned, everything's going to be in the description. I did not mention at the beginning, leave a like and subscribe. And also, you didn't mention you have a YouTube. I'm going to leave that in the description as well.
Yes, also YouTube. Yeah, D-Night is real on there as well. Thank you for that.
Yes, sir. Well, this is part 4 of the What's Next series featuring D-Night, talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers. And we'll be back next time with another What's Next video. I appreciate y'all for tuning in, and we're out. Peace.
Yes, sir.